My husband had an affair with my high school bully, so when I found out, I filed for divorce without telling him why. Now, he's confused and is begging me to tell him what he did wrong. So, I have been with my husband for 2 years now. To start the story, I found out that my husband started an affair at least 6 months ago. I couldn't believe that he could fool me. There were no signs, no indications, no change of behavior, and no change in the bedroom. I just found out by accident 3 weeks ago, when his phone was on the nightstand. It turned out, my husband was sleeping with my high school bully. I grew up in a small town, and this woman bullied me severely in middle and high school. After graduation, I did everything to find a job in a bigger city and moved, leaving all the hurtful memories. I worked hard for a year, found an apartment, bought a car, and later started college. That's where I met my husband. We got married 2 years ago. I'm also 8 weeks pregnant, but he doesn't know yet, though I plan to tell him eventually. When I was in college, my bully reached out to me after we bumped into each other at a party. She was new in town and was glad she saw a familiar face. She never acknowledged what she did, and I never confronted her. I didn't want to open old wounds, however, I wasn't going to befriend her, so I just rebuffed any attempt to reconnect. She still moved in the same crowd as my husband and me. I never told my husband anything about her or our past. I wasn't even sure he knew her by name. 3 weeks ago, when my husband was in the shower, he got a notification on Messenger. I thought it was odd since he's not been active on Facebook or Messenger in ages. We knew each other's codes, so I looked and there was her name and pictures telling him she missed his penis. I scrolled a few messages back and there was a full conversation. I felt sick and my eyes went blurry, so I just left the phone back where it was and acted like nothing happened. Over the next 2 weeks, I looked at his phone whenever I could. I found out that my husband deleted Messenger when he didn't use it, except for the time he forgot. I started doing the same. Whenever he would be sleeping, playing games, or out for a run, I took his phone and installed Messenger. I could trace back their relationship 6 months. They'd been sleeping together for 4 months. A lot of graphic descriptions of what they wanted to do or have done to each other, but also a lot about me, although it was often one-sided. It's always my bully asking questions and trying to get answers about me. My husband was either reluctantly answering or outright telling her not to talk about me. But they've discussed my sex life, and apparently, I'm vanilla. To her constant questions about whether he preferred me, he answered that it's different, and he doesn't want to compare. Discussions about me often ended in him getting irritated and not answering for days. I have never cried my whole life combined compared to these last few weeks. I want to leave my husband, but I don't want to tell him why. I don't want to give him or my bully the satisfaction of knowing that they hurt me. I just want to ask for a divorce and just tell him that I am not in love with him anymore, and that I'm not happy in our marriage. Technically, I won't be lying because he's not the man I loved, and I'm not happy about our marriage. I haven't told anyone what I found out, but I've told my mom that I want to leave my husband and stated the reasons above. She went berserk. She said that this was so out of the blue and moronic, and the first question she asked was whether I was cheating on him or not. This was a preview of what probably everyone else would think and say, but honestly, I would rather live with being the perpetrator than the victim this time. I just can't let that be hurt me again, then watch me suffer and enjoy it. I just can't. I know I'm being irrational right now, but please put yourself in my shoes and tell me what you would do in my stead. Update 1. Many said I needed a lawyer. I don't know about that. We don't have assets other than a joint account for monthly expenses and a joint savings account where both of us can do whatever withdrawals. I have already transferred my contribution to my private account. I'm not trying to protect my husband and his affair partner or their reputation. I just don't want to give them the satisfaction of knowing how much they've hurt me. I have read all of your comments, and the majority think I have the wrong approach. I have decided to follow my gut. About terminating my pregnancy, I'm pro-choice, of course, and I've chosen my baby even before I knew I was pregnant. I can't get rid of my baby just because I don't want to be with a father anymore. My brothers and I are children of divorced parents, and we turned out decent enough. About my bully being the stepmom, the chance is slim and not good enough to convince me to get rid of my baby. I already love it more than anything in the world. I have broken the news to my husband that I'm leaving him. I had already talked to my friends about it, and being unhappy in my marriage seemed a good enough reason for them to support me. One of them offered me her place until I found my own. I got really emotional and hugged her and cried because that meant that I could leave my husband's apartment now. He was shocked when I told him. I don't think he took me seriously at first, but he asked me if he had done something wrong. I told him that I was simply not happy with him, and I thought I was still too young to waste my life in an unhappy marriage. He said he had noticed me being distant this past month, but never would he have guessed I was unhappy with him. He begged me to tell him what was wrong because this couldn't be it. He only believed me when my friend came to take me with her. This was Thursday. He had been calling multiple times a day, but I hadn't answered. He showed up this morning at my friend's house and begged me to have breakfast with him. I agreed. He looked like he hadn't slept or shaved since I asked for a divorce. I told him that I was pregnant and that I was keeping it, but he didn't have to be a part of its life if he didn't want to. His phone was on the table, and he got a notification from Messenger. So, he had forgotten to delete the app before meeting me. When I saw her name, I said, "Oh. Is that her? You know, she used to bully me in school back when we both lived in our hometown." He froze. "Oh, haven't I told you about her?" Then, I told him everything she did and how it affected me, how she never apologized for anything. He was silent the whole time and just looked at me. I ended it by telling him to be careful with her. I don't think she's changed much. He grabbed my arm and just watched my face like he wanted to see if I knew something. I plan to buy a small apartment, because that's all I can afford right now. A one-bedroom is enough until I have my baby, and it's old enough to need its own room. I can upgrade later when I've saved more. I'm not leaving the city. I've spent my best years here and have the greatest memories. I have my friends around me, and hopefully, they will still be supporting me when the divorce becomes a fact. I have already filed for divorce, but he's probably going to ask for a thinking period. I'm not in a hurry, though. Everything will get better. For now, I want to cry, try to get over him and heal, and be there for my baby.